Now, over half of Americans are unable to pay for unexpected emergencies because effectively they have nothing in their savings. This is because the amount of people living paycheck to paycheck is at an all-time high. But if you're in this scenario, just know you're not alone. But here's the truth to your situation. Nobody's coming to help you. This rat race is just a cycle that most people never leave. And it's going to take hard work if you ever want to get out of it. With the rising living costs and additional debts like student loans, auto loans, even consumer credit, this situation is only going to go from bad to worse. Now, I'm just going to give you some uncomfortable truths, but also the knowledge to break out of this cycle. Now, living paycheck to paycheck is something that many of us know all too well, but effectively all it is simply just getting financially by. Having just enough to effectively pay your bills and a few odds and ends, but by the end of the month hits, you have nothing left. And since you have nothing left, there's nothing left for savings, investing, or even paying down the debt that you're currently still stacking against. And this entire rat race will have you stuck in a loop, never going anywhere because you're just dependent on your next paycheck. Even things like groceries are costing an arm and a leg, so for most people, this is a direct uphill battle that most of you will never win. And the worst part about this is that even though living costs have increased, one thing that hasn't is income. Wages have roughly remained the same over the past few decades. The federal minimum wage and the wage for many states is still $7.25 an hour. And for someone working full time, this equates to just around $15,000 a year. And even if someone was making around double this, around $15 an hour, which everyone sees on the news, that still is only $30,000 a year. And if you compare this to the average American salary of around $60,000 a year, you're talking about a $30,000 difference. That 90s sitcom lifestyle is effectively unattainable for most people. Those entry-level well-paying jobs are just a thing of the past. And in 2023, a lot of jobs are just getting rid of their pensions or even benefits. And for most people, gig work or getting a second job is effectively mandatory if you want to keep up with things like inflation. And even though it's slowing down, it's still outpacing the overall growth of most households. And all of these problems are real situations for most of you. With household debt being around $17 trillion and consumer credit card debt being around $1 trillion, this is effectively just a house of cards and the table's getting pretty wobbly. Now, there are ways to escape this, but it's going to come at a sacrifice. And the only commodity that you can trade at this level is your time. Now, I know it's unfortunate because at this moment when you have nothing is when you look for easy vices like snacks, fast food, or even going to things like entertainment and your phone. And it's moments like this where your time and energy are just wasted on things that you could be doing that are more productive. And while it sounds terrible to give up your free time, I promise you investing in things now when you have time and energy is going to be better than when you have neither. So if you have the means, try and look for an additional source of income. But this method has to be guaranteed. No potential side hustles where things are a possibility. You can do this by working extra hours, getting an additional job, or even selling things that you have that you don't need. And if you don't have the time or means for additional work, you have to maximize the income you have. So if you're able to, bring up the topic of getting a raise because a closed mouth doesn't get fed. And if you can't get a raise where you're working, try and position yourself to make more money at another job. And this means getting things like getting your resume together and getting prepared for additional interviews. We live in an age where all of the knowledge is at your fingertips, so if you need to know something, it's likely just a simple Google search, or you can even use AI tools like ChatGPT. You can use it to build resumes and just gain additional skills by asking questions and gaining information. Now, an extra tip would be building on the skills you currently have and maximizing your personal and professional worth. So if you've only ever worked at jobs, it's time to understand a career and understand the professional side of things. This can only help you in the long term. Like if you only ever worked as a cashier, it's time to know how you can translate these skills. So even though you've only worked this one job, these skills correlate into things like a financial service associate, payment processing technician, or even a sales representative. This level of professional elevation will help you maximize your income and your skills. And during this long journey, make sure you don't get distracted. Because in moments like this, it's easy for you to look for other vices and other methods, especially get-rich-quick schemes. These include MLMs, pyramid schemes, Ponzi schemes. Just know, if it sounds too good to be true, it normally is. There's no fast way into wealth that doesn't come with the risk. But small compounding effects have great returns over time. Now, after all of this, you have to understand the situation that you're in and find ways of making more money. Now, if those options still don't work, you have to find a way to maximize what you currently have, which I talked about in this video on ways to save you money, so feel free to check it out.